Hey everyone, welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host Nitin Bajaj, and joining me today is Ketan Anjaria. Ketan, welcome on the show.
It's so nice to hear my name said so perfectly. Thank you for that. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure both to have you and to be able to pronounce your name right. I have that same challenge, so I know what you mean. So let's get started with who is Ketan.
Yeah, well, I was born in Bombay and I immigrated to Louisville, Kentucky when I was 6 years old. And that was obviously a challenge. But I've been in the Bay Area about 17 years now, and I've always loved solving problems with technology. But in the last few years, where I really discovered is I love helping people in their career. It gives me both great satisfaction and pleasure to be able to say I've helped someone go further in their career, whether that's increasing their salary, getting a new job, becoming a better founder, or just kind of managing the ups and downs of how stressful work is.
You're on a mission.
There's a Japanese saying called ikigai. I don't know
Yep.
if you're familiar with it, which is like I think it's a combination of what you do, what you're good at, what makes the world better, and what makes you money.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel I'm lucky enough to find myself right at the center, and I feel really blessed and proud that I'm there.
Really happy for you.
Thank you, thank you.
Tell us, what is Hire Club?
So Hire Club actually started as a community on Facebook in 2011. I invited 25 of my friends, and we had a couple simple rules: post jobs that you have access to, vouch for your friends, be kind. That very first day, we had our first interview set up through the Facebook group, and that first week, we had our first hire. Fast forward to now, we are about 33,000 members. We're a venture funded business that started as a community. Our first $50,000 of funding was invested by our community before we even had a product. So when people say they're community based, we really are community based. We love helping people succeed in their careers. We love helping people connect to jobs. And we do it through a career coaching platform. So what that means is if you want help on your resume, if you want to help improving your salary, if you want to help to have someone on your side discussing all the challenges you face at work, whether as a founder or as a manager, we match you to a coach, and then you can schedule calls with them, whether once, twice, or 4 times a month, however much you want, and then we take a cut of that, and we have both amazing coaches and fantastic clients.
It sounds fun.
The feedback I get isn't like, you take an Uber or a Lyft, wonderful, right? Like, hey, you got a place where you want to go. You take an Airbnb, that's a nice house.
Mhm.
We've increased our salaries for our clients by over $3 million.
Wow.
Our largest increase percentage wise was 45%.
Hmm.
Right? And so the feedback I get is you changed my life. You made it so that I feel proud of my work now. You made it so I can take care of my family. So it's not just like buying a widget online. It's
Mhm.
really deep personal change
True.
that people talk a lot about diversity. I think diversity and inclusion is super important. But if you don't have economic diversity,
Mhm.
we're at most of our clients, 65% of our clients are women, right? We're putting cash in their bank account, right? And they're paying reasonable, monthly fees to get there. So it's pretty amazing to be able to say we're helping people and making money.
And it doesn't get any more real than that, right? You're at, like you said, at the heart of it, and you're making real change.
I mean, we spend 40 hours plus a week at work, and it's so tied to our identities, sadly, in so many ways. But being able to get someone's support for that and being able to feel proud of that, like, I feel good about my work. I mean, think about how many challenges that you have at work, and you come home
Yeah.
and you want to share with your family or your partner, but often we don't get access to share it with someone who's a professional who knows how to manage those challenges. So I often call it, I don't use the word lightly, but it's often like therapy for work.
Right. It is. So you mentioned some numbers, but tell us a little more about the size and scale of Hire Club's operations.
Yeah, I mean, we're actually a pretty small team. There's technically only three of us right now. We did face some challenges like everyone did last year, and unfortunately, we had to lay off some people. And we're hoping to grow again. But I'm the CEO and a developer and designer, so I handle a lot of the product and development. We have Mike Minoski, who's our director of coaching, and
Mhm.
he handles both the coach training and a lot of the coaching himself. And then we have Tao Pham, who is our customer success manager, who makes sure customers are happy, makes sure the flows are working really well, makes sure that our events are set up and our content is really flowing. And so that's the kind of like core team. But we have over 80 coaches that work with us on a contract basis as the providers on our platform, and they're all phenomenal people that just make incredible impact on people's lives. And we know that for a couple of reasons. One, we have reviews built into our system, and we have over 1,100 five-star reviews,
Hmm.
right? And so that's pretty incredible. We only started collecting reviews in 2017, so
Right.
and it's escalating. In terms of revenue, we just hit over 700K in revenue, with
Nice.
50% of that being in 2020. And it's funny, 2020 was such a challenging year in so many ways. We actually grew in 2020, much to my surprise, because I was like really bummed most of the year, but we actually grew. And so it's really fantastic to be able to make revenue. We raised a 500K pre-seed round in 2019 on Shackle Ventures being one of our
Yeah.
primary investors. We've actually made more money than we raised. How many startups can say that, right?
Mhm.
And we're honestly maybe a few months away from being profitable, right? Um, we don't do any ads. Everything we do is through referral right now. It's all through word of mouth and kind of community.
Those are some really impressive metrics.
Thank you.
Really
Thank
happy
you.
for you.
No, it took a long, we made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes to get here.
No, I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like the only way I know how to do it.
So, you kind of mentioned what you do. I'm curious to know if there is a specific challenge you guys are addressing at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell from a personal standpoint. So, a long time ago, I lost my job, and I was married at the time and had a young daughter, and honestly, it was devastating. And being a father and a provider for the household, not being able to have income was such a challenging time, and I was depressed, and I was out of work for 6 months. And honestly, it's ultimately what led to my divorce. And I started realizing that this was a very common story. A lot of people suffer through depression and anxiety and a lot of stress. I often say there's, marriage, death, having a baby, and moving, and then losing your job. Those are like the five most stressful things in life, right? Um, and so, what we're really doing is giving people support to succeed in their career, and with coaching, performance improvement to be better than you were before, right? The
Mhm.
whole goal of coaching is to say, what do you want to work on? Let me help you, one, stay accountable, two, have support, and then challenge you when needed to say, hey, let me ask you the right questions so that you can learn what you need to do next, right? So it's a very pull based method of learning rather than a push based method. The client directs where you want to go. What's really incredible about that is it's self guided learning in some
Mhm.
ways, right? Like, and those are often the best learnings. If a teacher tells you to do X, Y, or Z, you might not learn it. But if you learned it for yourself, you're more likely to kind of really hold on to that and take that lesson deeply.
So true and so very well said. In terms of looking at the other side of it, is there an opportunity that you guys are like really excited about and working on right now?
Oh, when you say the other side, you mean the coach side?
Well, irrespective, as an organization, as a team, what big idea or opportunity are you looking at or
Yeah.
excited about?
So I think um, we don't teach people how to succeed in their career,
Hmm.
right? Often a lot of resume advice when you're in college is super outdated. College career centers often are not the best support places for finding out what you want to do, getting support. It's funny. We have college counselors and guidance counselors in high school and college, and you go to work and we're like, hey, you're on your own. Next 40 years, figure it out yourself, right? So where is the guidance? Where is the support and community to help you succeed in your career? And I think the big opportunity there is pretty much everyone can take advantage of having a career coach,
Hmm.
right? Everyone wants to improve and make more money and be better at their career, whether you're early starting out as a college student or you're an executive trying to improve your company,
Hmm.
right? And so to me, the really big vision is I want to hire a club in every city,
Right.
right? I want a place where you can go and get support in your career, have someone you can talk to and say, hey, man, I had a hard day at work. My boss was
Mhm.
like, upset at me. How do I get through this? Or, hey, I have an interview tomorrow. I don't know how to prep, and I need
Mhm.
support in getting that. Or hey, I'm trying to raise money for my company. Where do I go? How do I start on that? Right. So like whatever challenge you're facing at work, um, often it's been casual networks that you often have to rely on, and some people don't have access to that network. So I think
Mhm.
one of the reasons that we have often a lot of women clients is men get a lot of support at work, right? Women often don't, right? There's the whisper networks that men have and the good old boys club, and women don't have access to that. People of color don't have access to that. Immigrants often don't have access to that, right? We've all heard about the yellow ceilings, right? When it comes to technology and work, or the glass ceiling. And so I really think we can make a huge dent in better and fairer working conditions and equitable pay. And then we can also have better practices for companies to follow,
Mhm.
right? And say, wow, how do I hire better as a company,
Right.
right? How do I hire the right people as a company? How do I make my job postings more inclusive? How do I make sure that the people I'm interviewing, I'm giving them a fair shot, right? So it's two sides of it, right? There's both
Right.
the hiring side and the people looking for work. But you know, being able to move the needle when it comes to hiring and work, I mean, that affects billions of people,
Right.
right? Like literally everyone on the planet has to have a job at some point, right?
So true. That's a huge opportunity. And, I'm thinking about as you have evolved over the past few years, is there a lesson learned or that has helped you gain either success or traction that you would like to share?
Yes. I need to listen more. That's the first one. I
Don't we
think
all?
there's a balance of when you're a founder of having razor focus and vision, and then
Mhm.
the ability to adapt to market conditions, right? And the more kind of, or what's the saying where you hold strong opinions softly, or whatever the saying
Yes.
is? That's an important one. I think also the other one is being willing to admit when you're wrong,
Hmm.
right? And change. Like I come from a design background, so we're always designing new things and trying new things. You also have to do that in your business model, right?
Hmm.
You can't just use design on a visual sense. You have to design new ways of working, new ways of trying things. So what I've learned is the more I'm open to trying new things, the more I'm open to trying things that potentially have never been tried before, I've seen a lot more success and traction.
So true. Let's switch gears and get to know you better.
Yeah,
Even though Hire Club is an extension of you,
yeah,
I want to go deeper into that psyche of yours. And
yeah.
the way we want to do it is through one line life lessons.
Sure.
So I would love for you to share five of these one liners that are simple, profound, but have made a huge impact on you and have come to define you.
Yeah, that's a good one. Um, the first one is get up and take a walk. Like almost any time I'm
Nice,
having an issue about anything, I believe a stagnant body is a stagnant mind,
nice.
right? So if you get up and take a walk, it literally changes everything. Your blood starts flowing, your brain starts thinking differently, endorphins are flowing, you're outside in vitamin D and getting sunshine, which we all could get more of.
Mhm.
I just think getting up and taking a walk is just a huge, huge thing. Um, Second one, I suffer with anxiety a lot, right? And
Mhm.
anxiety is often you being in the future. And one of the ways I interrupt my anxiety is to say, can I predict the future? And the answer is always no, I can't. Right. But my anxiety makes me think I know what's going to be in the future. So my interruption point is, can I predict the future? And the answer is often no, right? It's almost always no. And so I think that kind of gives me a lesson into like breaking from those bad habits of anxiety, of like being worried about the future, being worried about, money, being worried about my business or myself. So, kind of like checking in and being like, hey,
Yeah,
come on, you can't do that. You can't predict the future. Um, I think the third one is um, listen to hear, not listen to respond.
nice.
Right. Um, I'm a very active person. I'm very extroverted.
Mhm.
often always talking. But what I've learned is sometimes when I'm talking or listening to somebody, I'm waiting. We all do this. Oh wait, I got a response. I know what I'm going to say, but you're not really hearing. So there's a tool, a set called active listening as a coach I've had to learn and work on. But really listening to someone, being able to replay what they said, being able to say, "I think this is what you're saying," and them saying, "Yes, that's what I'm saying." It's created a lot of learning for me, right? Because then I'm actually really listening instead of waiting to get my 2 cents in, right? Um, the fourth one is make time uh, for the people in your life that matter,
Mm.
right? You know, my dad was an immigrant. He worked really hard, and unfortunately, I didn't get to see him a lot. And I didn't want to do that with my daughter. I don't want to do that with my friends. Like, I do my best to make sure I make time for my friends. Um, you know, I always say, um, I don't live to work. I work to live, right?
Yes.
Um, and then the last one, let me think. Um, Laughing more, right? Like I'm a big fan of comedy. I'm a big fan of being silly. You know, just finding things that make you laugh, whether it's stand-up comedy or listening to jokes or watching something funny. Um, I feel like there's a lot of absurdity in life,
Yeah.
right? And like
Yes.
being able to laugh about it, being able to like be silly about it, being able to laugh at yourself, right? Like sometimes as a founder and working in Silicon Valley, you can get so serious about what you're doing. You can take things
Yeah.
so seriously. And reality is like, you know, there's so much more to who I am and what we all do than our work, right? And can we laugh about it? Can we enjoy it? I make it a rule that almost every day I'm posting something funny, hopefully, right? Um, I saw a tweet the other day and said, "Man, we used to commute and go to work. How crazy is that?" Right? Like it's so much for me to
Right.
imagine even going to commute now, which for some people is like hours, and then going to an office. Like it's so funny how in the quarantine and pandemic, we've seen that how often how these social structures that we had in place or might not be necessary, right? Even the
Yeah.
idea of an office, is that really necessary?
Yeah.
Right? And I think in some ways it might be for a lot of people, but like I'm lucky enough that I can work from home. I know not everyone
Mm.
has that option. um but there's so many absurd things we used to do. Like we can be able to laugh about it now, right? Like there are some benefits to being able to or being
Mm.
having to be in quarantine, you know?
No, absolutely. And this ties back to the point you made about spending time with the people you love. And I think the last 10 months have really, for a lot of us, right, this whole aspect of social distancing is, I don't even know if it's the right term because
Yeah.
I've got closer to a lot of my friends and family.
I hate that they use the word social distancing. It should have been physical distancing,
Yes.
right? Yeah, they use the wrong words for sure.
Yeah. Hey, we have something to complain about.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
So thank you for sharing those one-line life lessons. And it'd be remiss if we didn't hear some music from you.
Oh shoot. You want to hear some music?
Well, you asked for it.
Okay, hold on. Let me get my guitar. Let me get my guitar. Hold on.
Okay.
So one thing I've learned on Clubhouse is I'm now doing this thing called Lullaby Club with some
Hmm.
friends, and what we do
Put people to sleep.
is we tell lullabies
No.
and play music, and there's some incredible amazing performers, and I'm actually writing and reciting lullabies, actual songs and stories. But I can just play a little bit of some of the music I do. Hold on.
Ketan, can I request you to bring the mic down a little bit?
Is it too quiet?
Yeah, it's a
Uh
little
oh.
low.
Yeah, hold on. Then I wasn't ready for this whole performance
Oh,
thing. Here, I got the tune too. Can you hear that better now?
yes. Thanks.
I didn't know I was gonna be performing.
Beautiful. That was amazing.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. This mic is very directional.
Yes, it is.
It's a good mic, but it's very directional.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing on my night evenings to keep myself sane.
That is awesome. Ketan, it was an absolute pleasure having you. And thank you for all the work you're doing, building the
Thank you.
community. And we would love to be a part of that community. And I'm looking
Yes,
forward to coming, hanging out with you on Clubhouse.
let's do it. Let's hang out. Well, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
It's been our pleasure. Thanks a lot.